Hey, what is up, Wolfpack? It's me, Kyle here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my top 5 personal favorite and best class setups for Cold War Zombies on Season 6. Now this is going to be my last top 5 best class setups video for Cold War because of course this is the last season, so I thought I might as well update you guys with what my current favorite class setups are to live on for the rest of this game's life cycle, whoever returns to this game in the future, because obviously I'm going to be moving on to Vanguard when that comes out. But anyways, let's hop over into the weapons and go check it out. Alright, before we get into the top 5, I want to give kind of an honorable mention to the Stoner here, because this is a fantastic weapon, absolutely great, especially, you know, against bosses and elites and stuff like that. So for the optic, I just run the Millstop. It's clean. You can use whatever you want though, to be honest. The Flashguard 556 is the muzzle I'd like to use. It gives you increased equipment drop rate with no extra, you know, kind of downsides to it. And the reason I don't use the last one is because if you're maxing out the most equipment you can get, it's going to compete against how much salvage you're getting. So I prefer to just, you know, have a little bit extra equipment but not max it out and, like, you know, have it fighting against earning salvage. So on the barrel, I run the very last barrel, of course, get that increased damage and that more range and stuff like that, and that is probably the best one that you can actually get. If you're going close range, I don't see a problem with, you know, just going to this barrel over here, the 18.6 division barrel, but overall I just run the task force barrel because it's great overall. For the body, the very last sighting point for that increased salvage drop rate, the most possible, and some hipfire accuracy, of course. The underbarrel, I run the infiltrator grip, gives you that movement speed and, you know, all the speed buffs without any negatives such as the other ones, so it's really nice overall. The magazine, you want the biggest and fastest one possible, which in this case is the very last one. For the handle, I run the speed tape, and for the stock, I have the tactical stock. And before we get to the other classes, if you guys, I see some people asking sometimes, how do you have all these attachment slots? Well, if you're new to the game, you actually have to go to your skills and upgrade the weapon classes to be able to have more attachment slots. Okay, and getting into our number 5 spots now. Number 5, we have the Krig right here. Now, I'd say, honestly, you could replace the Krig with the Galil, the Grav. I don't have it unlocked yet, but looking at the stats here, it appears to just be a stronger, faster Krig with a little bit less accuracy, but that doesn't really matter too much in zombies. But either way, whatever which one you decide to use, I'm going to show you guys the best attachments for them. So, the Microflex LED is just my personal favorite sight. I like that it's a nice clean red dot sight, and of course you can edit the reticle as well if you so wanted. I run the Flashguard 556 for that increased equipment drop rate without being too much overbearing on kind of cons and stuff like that. And for the barrel, I run the very last barrel to get that increased damage. That's really what it's all about. And I look here, and there's not really much else I would replace it with, except maybe if you're going to be fighting at range, like maybe an outbreak, I would put on the increased armor damage, because you're going to get more range, like 40% more range. That's only if range is really an issue to you. Now for the body, I want the very last one, the Ember sighting point, for that really increased salvage rate. The underbarrel, I run the infiltrator grip. That gives you the most kind of movement speeds and buffs without any cons at all, and my personal favorite. And once again, we want the magazine with the biggest and fastest reload, so that is going to be the Salvo 50 round fast mag. For the handle, I run the speed tape. It's very simple. It doesn't have any cons, kind of like the later ones down here. And lastly, for the stock, I run the SES combat stock because it gives you shooting movement speed, aim walking movement speed, and it hurts your hipfire accuracy a little bit, but it's not too bad overall. Alright, getting into our number 4 spot, we're going to head over to the shotguns tab. You guys already know what it's going to be. It's the Howler. Let's put on our custom mod for it real quick and go to the gunsmith. Now here's how I run the Howler, because obviously we all know the Howler is a fantastic weapon. And you're going to want the best and last barrel on it. That gives you 71% damage increase. That is fantastic. On the body, you run the Ember sighting points, the very last laser, to give you that increased salvage drop rate and that hipfire accuracy as well. For the magazine, I like having the 8-round tube. Not only do you get a bit more ammo capacity, but your reserve ammo is increased as well, significantly. Now for the handle, I just run the speed tape. I want that ADS time in zombies, because of course if you're aiming, you're going to be more accurate and do more damage. I believe it'll tighten your spread. And lastly, for the stock, I like to have that aim walking movement speed. I think that's important in zombies, especially if you're kiting or training. You want to keep your distance and be able to kind of walk and aim and shoot and stuff like that. Now you could use like the last one, but you know, that minus 20% hipfire accuracy, not too big of a fan of. But I could see an argument for running this one as well. Now, moving down to number 3, we're going to stay in the shotgun category and head down to the Gallo. Yes, I think the Gallo is better than the Howler. Now you can see sometimes I switch up my camos. I run Diamond sometimes just because it covers more of the gun than Dark Aether, depending on the attachments and the weapon itself. So, getting to the Gallo setup, we have the Flash Cone 12 gauge for that increased equipment drop rate, the last barrel for that 89% damage increase, fantastic. And then down in the body, we have the very last Ember sighting pointer for that increased salvage drop rate to the max. And then the magazine, we have the 12 round tube, which, that's one of the reasons I think I like the Gallo. You don't have to pump it like the Howler, and you can spam it and have more ammo overall, not even just in the tube, but in reserves as well. Now, I don't run a handle on this gun because I find I can hip fire it pretty well, and then the stock, I just run the tactical stock, and it works out pretty well in this Gallo class. Alright, moving up to the number 2 spot, we're going to head over to the pistol category and go all the way down to the amps and go over to my custom amp class. Now, of course, this has been the case since Season 4. The amps have been fantastic. They haven't really been touched or nerfed or buffed or anything like that. They've just been great overall. So for the muzzle, I run the Flashguard 9 for the increased equipment. I run the 5.9-inch Cavalry Lancer barrel for the increased armor damage. And that's because the last one is not very much of a boost. It only gives you, that plus 3% damage, but it hurts your ammo capacity and your recoil. And honestly, ammo is already a thing that this thing kind of struggles with, so of course you're going to want mule kick and make sure you have a good magazine, which we'll get to. Now for the body, I run the very last body, which is the Ember sighting point once again for that maxed out salvage drop rate. For the magazine, I run the Stanag 25 round. Now it doesn't reload as fast as the 22 round fast mag, but it increases your ammo capacity by 67%. That includes your reserves, so that is fantastic. And lastly, of course, you're going to need the dual wield option to get that increased firepower. This thing is a close-up beast, just as much so, if not more, than the Gallo. But just keep in mind it needs to be dual wield. So, getting into our number 1 spot, of course, what I think is the best gun to basically run on Forsaken and an Outbreak, and that is going to be in the tactical rifle category, and it's going to be the M16. Now let's go to our custom mods. Now I have 2 different versions of the M16 here for different purposes, and they're very important, so let's just hop into probably my favorite one, the one I'm running on Forsaken. This is the close range class. I'll show you the differences here in a minute, but for the optic, I run the Millstop. I just like that. You can run whatever you want, though. The Flashguard 5.56 equipment drop rate, the Strike Team barrel, because statistically, this barrel has the most DPS out of any of the other attachments. It does the most damage per second because of course we get that fire rate increase and that damage increase. Now if you're playing Outbreak or you want the increased range but also you're not so much of the buffs here for DPS, then you want to go down to the very last barrel, which gives you that 15% damage increase, but it doesn't really give you the fire rate, and statistically is still less DPS than this barrel right here, but it's better for range of course because it gives you 50% effective damage range increase. Alright, now moving down to the body, run the very last Ember sighting point for that maxed out salvage drop rate. And then I go to the underbarrel for the Infiltrator grip, so I can get that movement speed and aim walking movement speed, all that good buffs without any cons at all. You might say, well, you could do this one with like the 3%, but I find some of the, it's too minimal. It's only 3%, and then the 5% here is just all that you need pretty much on the main stuff. And for the magazine, I run the very last one. It's the biggest and fastest, and of course gives you that 80% increase to starting ammo capacity. Next up on the handle, I run the speed tape for that increased ADS without really any cons at all. And then lastly, for the stock, I run the tactical stock with that 65% increase to the aim walking movement speed, which is just fantastic. So yeah, the only difference between this version and the other version, if I quickly make my way to it without stumbling around the ranged one, is that, of course, the barrel is the Task Force barrel. Everything else is exactly the same. So yeah, guys, those are my top 5 classes to finish off Cold War. And for Season 6, Forsaken, and Outbreak, whatever else is to come in the season, probably not much more. Overall, I'd say these are the top 5 weapons you're going to want to stick with for the remainder of Cold War Zombies from this point on out. For, the best, to do the best. Of course, a lot of the guns are good. You can make any gun good, to be honest, but these are just my top 5 favorites, the ones I find easiest to do Easter eggs with, go for high rounds with, and stuff like that. But if you guys enjoyed or found this useful, be sure to drop a like, subscribe for more, and let me know what you guys think. Would you have any other weapons in your top 5? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.